Hey everyone, today is May 26th and today Smite released some teasers for Morgan Le Fay. They also dropped the patch update notes for the Monster Cat bonus update and the 8.6 Dark Enchantress update. And I'm going to go over those a little bit more in detail in other videos, but I did want to highlight one really important update that's going to happen in the 8.6 version, which comes out June 16th, I believe. June 15th, it looks like. So, June 15th, I'll scroll back down here. You can see game modes in Classic Joust under that heading there. You can read that yourselves, I'm sure, or you can go on Smite and just read through the notes yourself. But basically, if you don't know what the Classic Joust map is, it's the old Joust map that was used in Season 1 and 2. They switched that Joust map up in Season 3, and they switch it up in Season 7 again. So we're still on the Season 7 Joust map, technically, even though it's Season 8. But if I read through this just really quickly, Joust and Duel have had many maps across Smite history that have had their own successes and failures. As a new experiment, we will be rotating in the Classic Joust map as the default map for all normal and ranked Joust and Duel matches. So if you're playing Duel or playing Joust after this update goes live, the default map is going to be the Classic Joust map. That does change quite a few things as far as who you're picking, as far as your beginning strategy, as far as how much you can snowball. But very interesting change that I'm sure they're going to go over more in the actual update show on Friday, a little more in depth. But I'm going to go over this a little bit too, since I mostly play Joust, and it's very interesting to me that they're making this change. So obviously it fits thematically with Morgan Le Fay as well, since that old map was very, Arthurian kind of knights of the round table type vibes on that. So a few of the other things that have been changed with the old Classic Joust map, if you played in those seasons, you remember that it was very passive. As soon as you got down to the Phoenix and the Titan, you could just sit back in your base and just kind of play super defensively, and you'd have a stalemate until somebody either made a mistake or attacked out of the base or whatever. So I think some of the changes that they're making are good because they're trying to eliminate some of that in this meta specifically. So you see that you do have increased XP split from 0 to 0.5. The lane minions are similar to the scaling from Season 7. The jungle camps have pre-timers, and they use the same monsters from the Conquest map here as well. And they scale every 2 minutes so that you can earn more from them. And they're a little bit tougher to kill, obviously, later on. The buffs that are on this new map, and I'm going to show you what the old map looks like, and then what the Season 7 map looks like, and just kind of compare and contrast so that you're ready for those changes when they go live. But this Classic Joust map only has jungle buffs. It has damage, it has mana, and it has speed. So you can see the breakdown of what those grant you. And then also, to combat that kind of turtling, that defensive play, they are going to enhance the damage buff after 10 minutes. So it's going to provide that 30% increased damage to towers and phoenixes, hopefully encouraging more people to be a little bit more aggressive near those structures. And then they also decrease some of the Phoenix HP 5 from 40 to 10. So it's going to be a lot easier to kill the Phoenix, and then hopefully easier to push into the Titan room as well. And it's called the Titan room because that's literally what it is. It's just a room that has the Titan in it. So the map art has been updated too. The last time that they introduced this map, they had a Halloween theme, but now it's going to go back to that Knights of the Round Table, Renaissance type look. So now that I went over what the patch notes say, and again, I encourage you to read these yourself. I'm trying to just sum them up as quickly as I can. But let's actually look at the Season 7 map, which is the current one right now, that if you were to go on and play Smite today, you'd see this map. So here it is, right? You have your side, clearly your side here, right? From this midpoint and backwards. You have your yellow, you have your blue, you have your XP camps, and then this XP camp you fight over usually, this red buff you fight over usually, and then the Bull Demon is what you use to push down Phoenixes and Titans if there's a stalemate, if somebody's playing very, very defensive. Obviously, you can invade the blue. Pretty rare that you see that happen. But there's that kind of dividing line, right? This is our side here. This is the opponent's side. Especially early game, you're not necessarily looking to invade very much. You kind of have the same route that everybody goes. You take your yellow. Once that's done, you go to your blue. You go to lane. You clear your minions. You either fight for this XP or you just go back and get your own, and then you come back in lane, duke it out until the red buff spawns, and then you fight there, right? And then whoever wins that fight has the advantage, obviously, for the rest of the game. What's different between this map and the old map, the classic map I should call it, because that's what Smite is actually calling it. If I click this tab here, this is what the Classic Joust map looks like. So if I compare these two, a very clear line between like your buffs and their buffs. But if you look at this one, it's split pretty evenly, right? So I played a little bit in season 1 and 2. I don't have too much experience during that time. But if I remember correctly, the normal start that you would go is you'd go your blue. 2 of you would start on blue, and then your ADC would start on red, or whoever you wanted to have red would start on red. You'd clear this pretty quickly and then come over here, share this one basically, and then once you cleared those 2, you go to lane. And you can see here that if the other team is doing the same thing, right? If they clear their blue, they clear their red, you're both going to be spit out right in the middle of this lane. So at that point, you have the choice to fight the other team or clear minions right away and then fight. Or you could also go take yellow, right? So there are a lot of other things you can do. I've seen other people actually start on yellow on this side, right? So if this is our team, we start yellow, we grab red, we grab the other team's red, or if we start yellow and they start blue, you're going to meet at this red at about the same time, or you're going to catch the ADC off guard by going this left route anyways. So you can see that the beginning of the games are going to be a little more diverse using the old classic map, just because you have more options to kind of, quote unquote, invade their side, even though it's kind of split. There is really not as clear-cut sides. You do have your Titan, your Phoenix, and then your tower as well. One other thing to kind of notice is that this tower, the lane between the 2 towers, is a little bit longer than it is in the current Joust version. So you're going to get caught out a little bit more often in lane here. Probably you're not going to be able to get back to safety as easily. So that's something to keep in mind as well. And this map I do also think lends itself a little bit more to jungler style if you have a Bakasura or somebody who can kind of go in the jungle quickly and get out of there quickly. Versus this one, I think it's easier to punish that type of play style. Whereas this one, you really have to leave lane and kind of make sure they're there. So that's kind of the beginning portion and how it's going to shift. But if you also look at some of these lanes, the side lanes, the jungle routes, these are very small corridors. So if you catch somebody in these corridors, they're going to have a hard time getting out. There's also this little island here where you can have people get caught on one side or the other fairly easily. So I think the meta is going to shift a little bit towards people who can use walls very effectively. So let's say you're coming out of lane here and you beat the enemy team to lane, right? If you have a Ymir, you wall them off. They literally can't get to lane. You clear minions. You already have a giant advantage, right? Or if you're, let's say, maybe using walls in a different way, use the walls that are already there. So if you think of gods like Hu Yi, who has a triple bounce, and you're stuck within this little corridor and you triple bounce somebody right away, I mean, that is a really hard thing to avoid as the enemy team, and it's going to do a lot of damage very early. Kuzenbo as well has the triple bounce potential. Not as easily, but just with his Kappa, you can bounce around more corners. You can bounce around more walls and things like that. So it just brings a little bit more diversity, I think, into the gods that you're going to pick here. And then I do also think that some of the junglers are going to become a little bit more valuable as well. Just because the ability, if you can just run around this map a lot faster than the other team, you're going to get more of the buffs, you're going to get more of a snowball lead. And then that's just going to change the way that the game is kind of played. So, not really talked about yet. I wanted to just shoot a quick video to go over some of the changes. If you didn't know that this change was coming and you play on June 16th or June 17th, going into a ranked Joust game and there's a completely new map, that's going to catch you off guard probably. So I just wanted to get a quick video out, put it up online, and hopefully you guys do a little bit more research yourselves. Maybe watch a few old classic games on YouTube. I think like Trelly has some on there. Solo Double J I think has a couple on there. Davo has a few. So just watch those, see what they do, watch kind of how they approach the games and the meta that they're using. Game has changed, obviously. I think the last time this was introduced as an adventure was like 2018 or something. So new gods all the time. But regardless, just be heads up that this is coming out. Couple patches away, couple weeks away. But again, if you queue up for a ranked game and you're not expecting it, it's going to catch you off guard. So hopefully you learned a little bit more about the Classic Joust map, about the change itself. I'm sure they're going to go over a little bit more on the 28th in their update notes, so make sure to watch that. Read through the update notes yourself, come to your own conclusions too, but I hope you found it helpful and you're not going to be caught as surprised by these changes when they roll out in a couple weeks. Thanks guys, bye.